center position. We've got our red Protoss from Yowie Flash Wolves. It is San. Of course, the winner of this series is going to go up against Hero. There's a long path for both players to get through this DreamHack. His opponent in the top right, the blue Protoss, it is the teamless first.
All right, so both players here, both from the Europe region, of course, always or more traditionally, always open up with the 13 gateway double gas style. And then depending on how they're feeling, what they like, and you know their tendencies, they make the tech choice. So I'd be expecting that to open up on a 3-player map here, more so than the aggression. But another thing that's really popular within the Europe region as well is proxy gateways. 3-player map more difficult to make work, but if we do come into 2-player maps, will be absolutely something that we could anticipate happen.
Yeah, so, as you said, without the ease of information, since it's not a 2-player map, that's not really as much of a possibility. And it is 13 supply gateways for both of these players. And I think another good point you brought up is with these guys playing in the European region, they also get a chance to see a lot of each other's games. Whether or not they're playing each other, they see how they go through all of these heavy Protoss groups. Do you see any trends aside from the general PvP meta in Europe right now?
Not really. That's the thing, that it always usually is like this, 13 gateway double gas, and then once the tech choice is available, it's mostly Blink. Out of all three, Blink and Stargate, I would say Blink more so than Stargate, and then Stargate not too far behind. Fast expansions, these guys are quite aggressive overall, so we don't really see that, and I don't think we'll see it on Merry-Go-Round either.
Yeah, I mean, both players have fast 6 probes on gas. They're going to have a lot of gas income. And you think more for tech, or just you go for Mothership Core with the Stalker and Warp Gate all at once?
It depends. I mean, it's really up to them at the end of the day here. I'd be expecting Mothership Core and Stalker first, and then tech choice afterwards. Usually once you finish the Cybernetics core, after mining with 6 probes and gases, you have roughly 250 gas, which is enough for a Mothership Core and a Stalker, and then the Twilight Council pretty much immediately. But notice this. We see Sam without any scout whatsoever. It's a 3-player map, proxies are very unlikely, and he's the one who's going to rush down tech choice. But on the other side of the map here, first who scouted out first, who then didn't see an opponent, so he knows exactly where he is now, has decided to proxy a pylon, which is only really going to be a Stargate in these positions.
Yeah, and I mean, it's close enough in proximity that an Oracle can go straight to his opponent's space. So with the Twilight Council and with what we've seen from San as his opening choice of unit, he's going for the Stalker. As you say, this is Blink, not very unlikely to be Dark Templar?
Usually always Blink from these positions. He likes Blink, he could go DTs, but it's usually Blink.
Okay.
Oh, he is going to go DTs. It's usually Blink, he's rushed down the Twilight Council, he's going to go Dark Templar here. But the problem with this build is that obviously the Oracle can detect units. The Oracle's going to get there, and without going Blink, without him, really building units more so than only the first couple we have out, what's going to prevent the Oracle from doing damage? And then second of all, how are the DTs going to have an effect in this game if there is detection available once the Oracle's out?
It can create a really weird scenario where the first Oracle might have already used the most of its energy, or it's in an awkward position. So it comes down a lot to the reaction time for spotting this. Is that probe from San, it didn't really see anything, just gateways, and you'd say, okay, you got a lot of chrono boost. I feel like you might have something out on the map, and he's gonna see this.
Yeah, first actually saw the pylon, and that's really important to take care of here, and it might start to push him towards the thought of Dark Templar being in this game, but it's a Twilight Council first of all, so we need to see how much damage this Oracle can do. Remember, with the pylon missing, if he actually kills that pylon to the north, the Dark Templar have a much further place to run, so it's not going to be as impactful. The Oracle's going to go in, he will spot the Dark Shrine immediately, and now's where the real decisions come in.
Now Warp Gate's finishing up for both players.
He doesn't spot the Dark Shrine! He didn't see it, it was right on the edge. Pixels away.
Oh my. Well, that makes things a bit awkward. He does, but he's going to start up a robotics facility. But we've seen, even if it's not quite done yet, the only thing that's really going for him in this situation is that because he killed that pylon, the Dark Templar would have a really long way to go.
Yeah.
Does he think that it got spotted? Because he hasn't warped any in.
Yes, he does. He thinks it's been spotted here. He hasn't warped in any Dark Templar. If he did, he could be running towards that base by now, and he could already be, at least killing a pylon, probes, or anything. And it hasn't been used. That's really unfortunate for Sam. Really, really, really unfortunate.
And First is gearing up for what looks like could be a, I don't want to say a counterattack because he never actually brought the DTs to him, but...
This is so funny, Nathaniel, because Dark Templar will push this attack away, but I'm not even sure he'll use Dark Templar here to defend. And it is the ultimate defense. It's the thing that could have won the game. It's the thing that could actually defend
I love this. The threat of the Oracle, he has to keep his Stalkers in his main base. This natural expansion, I think he should be able to force a cancel on it. That he can't commit any forces to this or his mineral lines forfeit.
There is no Observer. The Observer's on the other side of the map with a Mothership Core in case DTs get over there. All it would take is one Dark Templar to push this back, and he would have been able to keep that Nexus. But as we can see, he's not using Dark Templar. It's really... It's the biggest thing of this game is that he thought that the Oracle had spotted the Dark Shrine.
Yeah, it's really funny to think sometimes how you can get a lead without scouting tech just because your opponent thought that you saw it. And San, you make such a big investment into tech like this early on and you don't get any usage out of it. We talked about how this affected other players and other matchups, and you just end up getting everything else later than you normally would.
Yeah, I mean, really unfortunate because I think San could have been in a great shape, but he's not in a bad shape. As you can see, he's got the Nexus coming down, he has an Immortal popping out, and he's going to be able to build another one very, very soon here. And then if you think about the comparison over to the other side, First hasn't started Immortal production. He has Blink like San has, and the supply is very similar. Actually, San even getting the Forge down a little bit sooner too, so his upgrade's going to take a lead as well. I think he's in good position. Yeah, not bad position.
The Observer for San's looking to see what's going on here. And well, there's just a Mothership Core. He sees the Oracle, but okay, you see the robotics facility. This isn't anything surprising. He walk by, and he's going to bring a few of his Stalkers. So 4 Stalkers, obviously, with Blink. These can one-shot probes. But I feel in this 2-base setup, actually his Observer's going to get picked off. He's not going to have any high ground vision to try to harass with anyway.
Well, one thing that San is very good at is identifying when to hit with an attack and when not to. And he's got a good scout inside the main base here. We haven't actually seen him use his Forge, only just now kind of boosting into it. A little bit slow with using that here. The one thing that can definitely still give First a lead, though, because it's going to be very difficult for both of these players to attack into each other, considering they both got the same units. The Oracle stands out, if he can use it properly.
Yeah, I mean, you have Revelation try to track the army, but if at any moment there's an exposed mineral line, you go right in. San has seen this Stargate. This Oracle's continue to zip around, blinks from the Stalkers, not quite enough to finish it off, but they're both heading towards the same place. +1 attack, a couple of Immortals have been put out, still adding those on, now taking the gas. It's a very similar setup for both Protoss players.
I wonder if they'll use Colossus, and the reason why I say that, because the third base is very open, and you know that as a Terran player, against like Roach Hydra pushes, the third can be difficult to hold sometimes because it is wide. Which means that a Zealot Archon style is quite strong here to be able to use and to exploit a big attack from 2 bases on that. So we see San utilizing that. He goes straight for the Templar Archives here. But unfortunately for him, First with an Observer right on top actually sees the Templar Archives immediately, which is really good information for him. He knows exactly where his opponent's going straight away.
It's nice to spot because it tells you, well, you're probably not going up against anything like Colossus anytime soon. And to your point about third base, if you do go Colossus on this map, it's very easy to spread out that Archon Immortal Force and suddenly splash damage. It's not really splashing on much.
But one thing is for certain is it's a very aggressive style from both players because obviously mineral dumping into Zealots with charge really increases your overall value with an army out on the map. So both of these players are going to have to play cautious. One thing is in favor of First, not just getting a Stalker kill, but he knows what his opponent's doing when San doesn't know himself. So it's a reaction coming out from First here, and he's going to be able to play with information over his opponent who doesn't quite have that yet.
Yeah, so +2 on the way, charge. Both players are getting about the same setup, Apollo. I see a bit more map vision. I get the feeling of more map control for First, but this is still a powerful army for San. How does First exploit this? Can he try to take a third base? Is it worth attempting? How do you get a lead when you're in such a similar spot to the other Protoss?
You can't. You need to capitalize on openings, and currently there aren't any. They're so close in pro count, so close in army count. They're both going to be forced into taking a third base because, well, I say that, then the Oracle actually comes in to do the damage that it has been waiting for. It does get pushed back and will get killed, and only 3 probes being destroyed, but I think both of them will fall back onto a third base soon.
It really seems like when they're so close, there's almost too much risk associated with going for an attack, because if you get caught, you don't have too many points of retreat at this stage of the game. However, a Warp Prism is on the way for Sun, so we're going to see, now that there's not really that worry about an Oracle, he's going to have, I guess, his own way of getting aggressive. And on this map, there's a lot of entrance ways into that main base. If you don't get caught by the Blink Stalkers, you can get quite a bit of damage done. And first, he's just adding on gateways. Maybe he's getting ready for an attack.
I mean, both of them are at 9 gateways. Whoever attacks into the other player is at a disadvantage. It's as simple as that. You know, Photon Overcharge and Time Warp on the ramp, you're not going to be able to fight very well. And both of them are looking to capitalize on maybe the other opponent has taken a Nexus. Maybe the gateways can be used for aggression, but they're so similar. It's so similar. The attack won't work. They have to expand.
I like this little bit of harass. He's going to throw some Zealots in. They have that charge. Photon Cannon's not done yet, and that army was in the center of the map, so not really in a great spot to help defend against this. So kill the cannon. Could try to focus down on the probes, but at this point, it's just basically trading a few units. It's nice harass, and he actually warps in his first Dark Templar of the game to be defensive.
And he also takes the third base. So we're taking the third base here. He's going to start to increase other parts of his economy and technology. At the moment, First doesn't know about that third being there. He's sat defensively on 2 bases. He's got a very decent army. And what we're noticing, look at the numbers at the top. The army supply is being continued to be invested into, 97 to 89. So First is actually pulling ahead when it comes to the army supply. If he sees this third base being there, he may try to attack into it. He doesn't know it's there yet, and he's continuing to build up.
You know, he actually kept this Warp Prism with his army. He's got a single High Templar, and it spots that pylon, which is nice. And it's cool because, you know, Storm Drop's not as much of a thing, but if you can get that Mothership Core with you drop the Templar out and you can feedback that, you cut off the Time Warps, the potential for a recall. It's one of those small things that can give you a really big edge in this matchup where positioning pretty much means everything with such similar armies.
Well, some harassment going to come in here for San towards this third. There is a Dark Templar in there, so it will do a bit of damage. Not sure how much damage will be done. But
he's sending a few Zealots over. Don't know quite where the nearest observer for First is to help hold this up. Okay, he has it with his army.
Right.
So that's not too big of a deal. But he does force him to drop some cannons. He wants to make sure that later harass from Dark Templar isn't going to be, you know, too detrimental. That Warp Prism, though, getting caught, well, almost escapes.
Yeah, he tried to, at least he saves something there. So the third Nexus is down for both, but it is First who actually uses the Nexus first, because he wants to be able to get the gas down, and that's going to help him, and San does see that.
And Warp Prism is doing quite a bit of work here. First getting into San's base, and this Immortal backed up into a corner. The defensive Dark Templar worked in, but look at drops the Zealots on the other side, just really making the most of the units that he has. And even with these Dark Templar here, he's still chewing away quite nicely at these
This
forces.
is such a big move because he's pulled the San army to the main base. San's a little bit out of position here. He does get back, but is he back in time?
And Warp Prism helping him to reinforce right outside of San's third. This is a nice spread that he gets. San actually has to move to a choke point to get to this army. There's the Time Warp. He's going to try to hit from both sides. A lot of the Zealots on the bottom right, and then there's still the Archons here as well. But First, he's holding strong so far. These Immortals are getting a lot of hits on the top right, though. Look, he's got units all over the third base, but not all of them are fighting the army. They're fighting this Nexus cannon, and that's allowing San's actual forces to get a lot more hits in.
He kills the third, but is he going to be able to keep alive with his army? Look how many Immortals are left over, and Archons here. So that was a good start for First, but by throwing so much of the damage of his army into the Nexus, San was actually throwing that damage into the army of First, and therefore we see a lead.
And he sniped the Observer too. These Dark Templar that have been mixed in by San. No detection to clean these up. Get free hits off on this force, and San is going to destroy this army quite nicely. But as you mentioned, First, the more time he can buy for himself, since he still has his third base, the better. There's not a crazy amount of probes here, but it's something. If he can hold on to this, it's really all that he has in this game, because this army from San is monstrous.
Because this game has been so neck and neck, you have to fight at this point. You don't expend and continue on. You need to fight. You've got a bigger army supply. You want to use that advantage to finish the game before we see First get back into it.
He still hasn't added on any observers. Of course, there's 2 cannons at the third base, but First going for the counterattack to try to pick off this pylon. Another defensive Dark Templar put in that natural to help hold on to this. And these DTs have done quite a bit of work despite being, absent from the early game that we might have expected them to be in. And he's actually hitting this natural. There's just 1 cannon, and I think he actually has turned the rest of his Dark Templar into Archons anyway.
Look at how many Immortals are left over. It's too big for San here. And that fight from First started well but ended worse. And San, I don't think he's going to get stopped. The economy's low. They played so similar for the majority of the game. He destroys the natural nexus. He's going to go to the third and destroy that as well, not really knowing exactly how many units that First has upside his main base. And San is looking at a map number 1 victory. Very, very close to take it.
Yeah, he's bringing out a good number of Archons, but there's still a reasonable number of Archons. These Immortals, though, they can soak up just so much damage as long as he doesn't fight at the Photon Cannon, at an... Oh, those probes. You don't want to walk into those.
No, you don't.
And San just continuing to reinforce with Archons at this base. Like I said, there's not a crazy number of workers mining here, but without that natural, it's all that First has as far as income goes. And the Nexus Cannon's going to try to hold this off, but San... he did lose his third base, so both of them are kind of on 1 base economy at this point. If he retreats, what does First need to do to get the reins on this game?
First needs to keep holding on forever. He's just got to not die. And San's looking at every opportunity to take a fight. First is using his position well. He does have a Time Warp later to use if he can get that long, but San is looking to close this up.
Moving in, Guardian Shield popped. These Archons going on Zealots, but this spread for First looking still pretty good. That Nexus Cannon able to get extra hits off, but San, he still has a good amount of units. Most of those Immortals have their Hardened Shields, and they're gonna blow through this force. Probes come off the line, and another Archon. That splash on the workers is too much. San has 74 supply left against 32 of First, and I think we're gonna see a First map victory here for our Yowie Flash Wolves Protoss. GG. San takes game number 1 in our last quarterfinal match.
A very close game, but it was San who edged out and is able to capitalize and just ends it instantly. A good game from San, a also good game from First, but he's got to step it up now if he wants to challenge for a position in the semifinals.
Yeah, what a tricky way that game started off, too. The Dark Shrine, that wasn't quite spotted, and then ended up being just so much more useful later on, not even with the Harass, but just being able to defend with the Dark Templar, and then having a couple mixed in for that big fight at the third base, despite losing his third Nexus. There were so many resources traded for that 400 mineral Nexus. First was just too far behind.
Yeah, First, unfortunately, made a slight mistake, and, well, it's quite over quite fast. One thing for sure, though, San is, as I mentioned before, in my opinion, a world-class Protoss player. World-class against Zerg, world-class against Protoss, struggles versus Terran, so if he does play against Tasia in the finals, that's where he's going to have the most difficulty. Anybody else, and San, in my opinion, is challenging for the entire of the tournament.
It's really crazy when you look at this because you don't have the big fear of MC. I think it's perfectly reasonable to suggest that San could take out Hero, could get to that grand final. And this is a bit more of a longer game. Hero gets to see a little bit more of what San might pull out in his playbook, and certainly keep his eyes open for this scenario. But like you said, Tasia still, I don't know if anybody feels comfortable going up against him.
I'm pretty sure not anybody does, actually. The one player who might, maybe Jadon, but we'll find out once that series actually happens, as we are loading in to the second map, between these two players, and we are coming to the conclusion of DreamHack Summer. Only a few hours remaining of this 3-day tournament. 96 players boiled down to just a couple remaining. We've got 3 in the semi-final. We have 2 more fighting out for the 4th slot available. 5 players left, but only 4 will advance to the next stage.
That's right. And this last quarterfinal potentially to be decided on this game. We're going to be playing on Habitation Station, and San looking to close it out. He wants to go on to play against Hero, but he's got an opponent that's quite good. Let's see if he can close this out. We already see something funky on the mini-map, but will it be seen by our Yowie Flash Wolves Protoss in the top left? San. His opponent is, he's rolling that cheddar wheel towards his opponent. In blue in the top right, it is First.
All right. So typically, we usually always see San scout early. On a 2-player map, definitely. On a 4-player map, not so much. This is a 2-player map. He's actually already going over to the other side of the map to have a look. This is really, really, really good for San because he's going to go in there, and as early as this gateway is, he's not going to see a pylon or gateway. And the most important part of all of this, he will get the gateway down.
Oh, he's double gassed. There's no pylons here, man. Oh, this is awkward.
Well, he sees that he's being proxied, but at the same time, he's got these 2 assimilators. The proxy, the assimilators is interesting because I'm not sure they're helping him.
He has no production.
He's actually got to deal with units coming over, but he's decided to go Forge here. He's going to defend with cannons more so than trying to get up towards gateway units. And this is an unorthodox way to try to deal with this. 1 cannon, then over towards Zealots it'll be.
Yeah, this is already a pretty funky game. The probe from First sees this setup. He's got this gas block, but he's not really intending to make much use of gas, it seems, at this point in the game. I will say, with only 1 proxied gateway, I feel like it should be more holdable, no, than 2 gates?
Yeah, I mean, he builds the pylon, then cancels the pylon to build the cannon inside his main base, so San is definitely kind of freestyling right now. He blocks his second gas here as well, and even the second gas. I mean, both of them are blocked. So he's really just like, oh my god, I went for a double simulator spot and you've caught me off guard and I was not expecting this.
Yeah, with both of his gas being blocked, I'm not surprised. He takes another assimilator. He's like, okay, I can't let you have gas if I'm not going to get any of my own. And
weird reactions here from San, but he's got the cannon. The Zealot's not going to do a lot here, and the Zealot is going to be made for himself. So I would even be comfortable if I was San to chrono boost into the Nexus, because I think this is fine. I think with the Zealot coming out next, get your Cybercore up, bro.
Yeah, it actually could still end up having a faster one for First. Okay, so San's got his on the way. It's nice that the Zealot can hit the Forge. He might need to bring a probe of his own as well to help deal with this. Okay, now there's 2 Zealots. So this is weird. He'll lose the Forge, but he mostly got what he needed out of it, which was that cannon.
Yeah, the Forge is not needed anymore in this game, so whatever. If it dies, it dies. All right, so San's gas is definitely going to be disturbed. As you can already see inside his main base, he's not really mining efficiently, but at the same time, the double assimilators are causing a headache here for First, who would love to be able to bring in the gas. So we will see an advantage go over towards San when it comes to his infrastructure in his mid-game. First does have an advantage when it comes to numbers, though. He's got more probes, he's got double the Zealots, but the tech is clearly better for San, which can nullify that advantage potentially.
Yeah, and these Zealots are looking for any openings here. The Mothership Core is really great. Just it's going to bring the end of his shenanigans. He has to back off. And actually, it's funny because killing that Forge opens up more space for those probes to mine the gas for San.
Yes. These Zealots are actually getting into the probes there. They bring down another couple. 4 have been killed. It's 15 to 25. And is the tech advantage that we see, a 30-second advantage of San with his warp gate, gonna be enough? That's his advantage in this game. You think it's enough?
Yeah, he's building Zealots. This Mothership Core is gonna try to get some poking. I mean, warp gate is gonna be gonna be so much faster for San.
San's gonna go in there and see no warp gate research being built. He sees Columbus in the gateway, and this is a really big scout because right now, First is building an army to just break the cannon. He's got double gateway. Now he's focusing on the warp gate research, but we do see 2 probes going down. Another one's going to go over here because there's not a stalker out yet, but if he recalls here, I think this is a mistake. He needs to just get out anyway, but he's going to be stuck at the back. The reason why I think it's a mistake, he needs that photon overcharge to defend against the 5 Zealots that are out, the stalker that's
out. First Bill's building a Nexus. Okay, he's got his warp gate on the way, and a Stargate on the way for San. This game has just been really weird, Sean.
Yeah, it's definitely not the standard game you see. Zealots actually go onto the other side of the map to get another probe kill, but this Mothership Core enters again. Stargate coming down, which has been spotted, by the way. The one thing that hasn't been spotted is San picking up the natural Nexus.
And I feel like it's a big read, because as you mentioned, he saw that he wasn't researching Warp Gate when he first went in there. Like, you would almost anticipate the madness is coming, and this Mothership Core is about to make a very important scout. Didn't see it.
They saw a probe down there, which might be good enough to suggest that that Nexus is down. No further reactions from San. Throws down a third gateway. So what is he going to do? He's moving across the map with a Zealot, Sentry, Probe. Oracle is almost out. He may try to challenge this Nexus.
The Stalker getting caught with her. You know, he's actually doing a really good job of pulling the only anti-air away from the base. There's just one Stalker in that Mothership Core. Right. He does have an Oracle, but I think that Mothership Core is just about to have enough energy for a Photon Overcharge for first. So I don't think he should be able to crack him with this.
Yeah, Photon Overcharge should push this back. But at the same time, we do see San at the front door.
Yep, Oracle's going to run in. And, you know, it does mean that the natural for first can't be Photon Overcharge. So this Pylon, he really wants to commit. Oh, good force field. If he can pick the Stalker off, that's nice as well. And there's just two sitting up here, bringing down the rest. But that Oracle still remains a threat. If he really wants to try to crack him, I'd love to see him bring that over to help fight the army with how fast he can kill the Zealot. He's bringing the Mothership Core, too. Even without a Time Warp, he just wants every bit of damage possible. And those Stalkers, he's barely... No, he doesn't get the Mothership Core. He's managed to save it. Firing from the low ground. It's awkward, though, because he needs the Mothership Core for vision, and it has so little health. It's basically a poke away from dying.
Interestingly enough, this is getting better and better for first, obviously. He's building up energy toward a Photon Overcharge. The Oracle is an important part of this game. Depending on how he wants to play this, it either comes to help out or gets in the mineral line. And I guess push back again there. Activating that does cost energy, of course. And he's going to have to come down once again. And building up this unit count, this has been definitely a weird game here, but I think First is just getting so good, especially with 3 sentries. Force Field's been able to chop this army up into bite-sized pieces. Yeah,
he just Force Fields off a couple Stalkers. The Oracle runs in as well, but the Force Fields have already been placed. The Mothership Core came in. He does have the Time Warp on this, but he's got this 2-base economy. It doesn't matter how much he trades out. He just needs to not die, and he'll have more income.
This isn't going to work. This isn't going to work. He tries to go up one more time, but of course, probes can easily be pulled to buffer a little bit more for the Stalkers at first. And First shall push this back here. San is trying to micro his heart out from 2 different fronts, but there are simply too many numbers. The income's a little bit better here for First. GG's called, and he does equalize his series, and we will be going to map number 3.
All right, so what a crazy way for that game to start. The proxy gateway against the Forge single cannon defense, and I have to say that's one of those times where it takes a lot of clutch decision making and as far as how you want to respond without dying a horrible, painful death for San. And his reaction was weird because he was looking to go for the double gas steal against a normal play.
Right.
But when you get into situations like that, it's not something that you practice very often. It's not a situation you would even accidentally get in if you were trying to practice it. So just good way of handling it for First.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that San was just completely thrown off after going in there. He was like, I'm going to gas steal you, and this is going to be cool. To then realize, oh, wait, there is nothing there for you to actually build units from inside your main. It's on the other side of the map. And then the reactors came in. It was just kind of funky. And maybe what Smick said earlier of San, who used to be a nervous player and he's getting over it recently, that could have been nerves coming out, and that's something that maybe First can capitalize coming into this third map.
That's right, and the third map will be Frost, so there's, it's a little bit more difficult to make those crazy plays. You're not going to be able to double gas steal, you're not going to proxy gate, so we can throw the builds from that last map out the window. You don't know where your opponent is at the beginning. You have to play a little bit more macro-oriented, and I think we saw that both players can duke it out in that macro game from the merry-go-round map, but this is also a map where I think that third base is easier to hold on to. Maybe it won't come down to those pushes around the third base timing.
All right, well, we'll have to find out. With a 4-play map here, like you said, aggression early on is usually cut out. So are we going to see somebody risk it here? Are we going to see some proxy play? San doesn't really like to scout early on this map or on these types of maps. So potentially an opportunity here. But we will decide which player will advance to the semi-final to play Liquid Hero on this very map.
An important map for these gentlemen. In the top left, we have our red Protoss player. From Yowie Flash Wolves, it's San. Getting proxy-gated in the last game. He's looking to advance. He needs this victory, but his opponent could potentially need it more. The teamless blue Protoss in the top right, it is First.
Out of all of the players that play in Dusseldorf within that house, Hyun eliminated, MC eliminated, Yoda eliminated, first is the last hope for those guys to be able to perform and bring home the money.
Bring home the trophy to that practice house. So we're looking at Frost. Obviously, we said this is a large map, but with these closed spawns, do you like any, is this going to favor any type of aggression?
If they knew that this was already the case, there could be some Stargate play in these positions. But without them knowing, that you usually pick what you're going to do before you know exactly what's going on, so maybe not.
All right. Fair enough. Both players do go for the gateways at 13 supply, so it's not that crazy aggressive style. Like we said, you don't know where the opponent is, so you can't just blindly go for something ridiculous like that. So double gas going to get taken for first, double gas taken by San. And if the only thing that we can really tap into at this point is how they played the first map. We know that they like the Immortal Archon charge lot setup, but that, merry-go-round has that open center. I feel like Frost has a good amount of open space as well, and maybe we'll see something similar, but there's a couple more cliffs to work with, I think, for Colossus base play as well.
I think Colossus would probably be the preferred unit composition if they were to choose one or the other. When it comes to areas in these positions, which could be very key and crucial on occupying, is as the game goes on, which I'm expecting this game could be a longer one, is in between the natural and third base of both players, there's the high ground, right?
Yeah.
There's two ramps to that part of the high ground. There's one here, and then there's obviously one a bit further north. If you can get the army out of position and take the high ground away from your opponent and take a better fight than he has, that is absolutely game-winning and has won a lot of games for these players individually across different series.
And I think another important difference when we talk about those types of pushes on Frost compared to Merry-Go-Round and compared to Habitation Station is that ramp does not lead directly into your natural. There's two ramps you can go to get that high ground position to make those force fields matter a little bit less.
The probe leaves did see Chronoboost going into the gateway, so ran away earlier, but it is a sentry. It's a scoutless sentry, and most likely expanding. He does have 100 gas where he could throw down a tech choice, but it's looking closer and closer towards we're going to see an expansion from San. Where on the other side of the map, we have a very similar opening, I think, because there's no tech choice come down either, so both very similar. One big difference is we see one player first going for a Stalker, which is better against, let's say, an Oracle to fly in. It's also going to be a little bit more active on the map. But San has scouting from the sentry.
All right, yeah, he has the potential to get that hallucinated Phoenix later on.
Right.
Both players are going to open Stargate, and these probes are almost hiding in the same place. Barely misses out on the other one.
I'm not too sure what that pylon is for in the center there for San, but he's just moving across the map for the time being. Could be a place where he, tries to launch his attack from later on. But I'm interested from this. Stargate versus Stargate. One player, if they were to build Phoenix, which I think is very rare, I think we'll most likely see Oracle. If one does build a Phoenix, though, and if that rare thing happens, you better watch out.
Yeah, he's got his Mothership Core at the front. How exactly he just killed two probes?
He's got
Mothership Core harassed.
Yeah, he Mothership Core harassed into the main base here. He spotted the Stargate with that harass, and he chooses Phoenix.
Well, this is just smart.
Oh, is the Oracle going to pop, though, before he notices? He needs to cancel that Oracle straight away, pretty much. Oh, did he let it pop? No, he canceled it last second.
So, good save there. I mean, the Phoenix would have shut that down completely.
Straight away.
Yeah, like you mentioned with these spawns, you kind of have one path really to go to your opponent. So that Oracle zipping around is not going to be very easy to do, and the Phoenix can shut it down quite fast. So at this point, I don't feel like both players want to go into a big Phoenix versus Phoenix battle, but you got to kind of make a few.
Yeah, you can commit to this, or you don't. You could start to switch up and build an army that's very good against the Phoenixes, so a timing-oriented style could come out from San. He does have a probe out on the map already. Got the robotics facility earlier compared to his opponent who doesn't. So let's see which player kind of deviates. They're both seeing each other building Phoenixes. They're both taking gases on the natural. And you can't really be aggressive with Phoenixes in this position because the defender is usually going to have one Phoenix that's about to pop to kind of, have one more than you have.
Both of these players, I mean, aside from that really crazy second game, seem to have a very similar mindset about how they approach this matchup with the army compositions that they set up, with the tech choices they go for.
Yeah.
And it really shows just, of course, how in sync they are, both playing in the same region, practicing against the same players sometimes. But another Stargate gets added for San. He's continuing to build Phoenix. He's just gonna try to pocket these and then go for a big push with them?
Well, it works out it really depends on how first plays, and also what damage initially the Phoenixes can do can depend on how San plays this out. So it's hard to say right now. But he's looking to overclimb and just kind of overtake with the numbers of Phoenixes that first has. Currently, he has 6. But that will change very drastically. One mistake from first where he thinks, all right, let me go scout with my Phoenixes, or let's go have a look what's going on, because I've been incredibly consistently from my Stargate. I surely must have a good count. That is a big problem if he oversteps his mark. He could lose a lot of the Phoenixes and then lose momentum in this game. He doesn't really know what's going on. And San did get an observer in there, I think. It did have a good look around through having the earlier observer. Right now, here comes the move. Here comes the move to have a look around. If those 2 Phoenixes pop, I think they'd just be maybe 1 more for San. It's 7 versus 7 right there.
Oh, it's such a
very
weird
close.
Because in this position, he also has the mothership core. He can force an overcharge if he wants to get a bit of extra fighting power.
But first, does see double Stargates. That's a big scout. Big scout.
Yeah, he's gonna add extra gates in the Twilight Council. So if you're first, he's still building Phoenix, but your opponent has double Stargate production. Yeah. You can't really match him in the sky.
Right. So I think you should even be abandoning this and starting to think about Plan B, unless you're going to throw down the Stargate and Fleet Beacon of your own to get range and continue Phoenix production. He's still building 1 by 1, but right now San's going to overtake. And with San overtaking, then he knows he should be in a good position to move out now. He's going to get into the probe lines. He can start harassing. He can start hunting those Phoenixes down. He's got multiple options. I like the hallucinated Phoenixes to buffer a couple of shots, which is a nice addition from first.
And I like that it seems he's decided to abandon somewhat, the full commitment to these Phoenix, because he canceled the Fleet Beacon that he was building. He won't be able to get range. And I like that, first been hallucinating a couple of extra Phoenix with this force to either soak up the first shots or at least mess with the targeting AI of these forces. But
right.
It's still really crazy because he slowed down on this, at least San has, so they have an equal number of Phoenix. It's still anyone's game as far as the sky battle goes.
Well, first San has an observer at the back of the base. He's noticed that his opponent has stopped Phoenix production, so San with this observer is in really good position because at the back he sees that Phoenix production stopped, so he knows his opponent switched up and is looking to obviously capitalize on overproducing Phoenixes. San has produced just 1 more, which means he will win the air battle with just a single more Phoenix. So he hasn't overcommitted, and he's also switching at the same time as his opponent. So he's reading very well into the game. He's not making any mistakes, and with the Phoenix lead, obviously he'd like to eventually, if he could, take a fight to win overall and then being able to use these Phoenixes more efficiently than they've done rather than just defending. But this is some pretty good high-level PvP so far.
Yep, and we're starting to see once again that lean in towards the Templar tech, the Archons with this force, charge Zealots, and this poor guy is going to get picked up and eliminated. But that third base coming in for first, and he's going to have it earlier. So if we look at this, if San does not get aggressive and deal some damage or take a third base of his own very soon, you can end up in a position where you're just behind.
Absolutely.
That economy will give first a lead, so needs to make a choice.
He does need to make a choice, and he is going to throw down that third base. But still very equal between the both of them. Only a 4 probe difference. Only a slight little advantage when it comes to the army for San. And the fight's going to be important if they do decide to take one soon, as San is getting ready to build a pylon in the center. He has a slight... Well, actually, I say that, but first just walked in another round, so does take the army advantage here. And it's not like any of them have an upgrade advantage. Very close between them, but first is edging away with a better income. Yeah, it's gas mining better. The Phoenixes are going to be important here. Imagine if a couple of Archons from San... Oh, look at that. He's actually lowering his energy. What the hell is he doing?
So he can't get feedbacked?
To stop feedbacks, I suppose.
Well, that's interesting.
That also lowers down the pickups he can do, but I guess he doesn't need as many pickups. But he's going to go in now, and he will need to be careful with this fight. So close. One mistake and you could be out. That's how close this is.
Yeah, this is a very tense moment because both players have played so like step in step, doing the same thing, getting the same composition set up.
Does San have a couple of high tempo with his army? No. Okay, I thought he may be looking to feedback some more of his opponents, but
I mean, he's just playing the Archon game, so those can't get picked up. But there's still a lot of Archons for first.
Yeah.
These players are so good. They're so evenly matched. They're just doing the same thing, and I feel that gives the defender the advantage for sure.
And there's no really way in. San looks, wanted to try to push in, can't, so he has to now leave this position, and I think that, this is actually a decent move. Loses, actually, I thought he could have got the Mothership Core without losing. Interesting force field, yeah. I don't know what force fields are for. You can't really trap air units. Bit of a mistake there for sure. But he lost the Phoenix, or two. So there's a 3 Phoenix difference now for San.
And then First is actually coming out here. He's going to clean up this pylon. I think he says maybe he can pick off this Mothership Core. Then there's no retreat, no time warps. And if his Archon mass gets on top of San, then that's when things get really scary. But they're still evenly matched in a lot of different ways. The Archon count has been the same for both players. Both players hovering around 27, 29 Zealots. Everything is actually the same except, as you mentioned, that slight Phoenix lead for San.
Yeah, there's 3 Archons in favor of First. But of course, there can be more warped in, which would lower the count again. But very close. I mean, this series has been identical almost for the majority of it. And we do see a Phoenix trade-off. 1 apiece. Defender's advantage is going to be nice here, which means that San has to spread out, whereas opponent, if you attack in, you naturally just filter a lot of your army. +1 armor completes, by the way, just this second. That could pay a bit of a difference.
It's really crazy. I don't know if you've seen too many games.
First is making a big move. Nathanias is trying to take this high ground I talked about earlier, and San doesn't see this. If he gets time warped on this ramp, he can't really get back up there properly. This is a massive move. This is really big for First.
He's coming in. The Zealots are getting out. I mean, the Archons destroy those quite fast. The Phoenix are going to do battle. They're the time warp, but Guardian shields as well for both players. And that high ground spot is nice for First, but San, he's managing to do quite with this. I love the Zealot warping on the right side, though. That's going to distract a lot of these forces. But it seems like these players have been doing the same thing
But look at the Phoenixes. The Phoenix won out in the war, right? So they're able to pick up the Immortal. They're able to pick up a couple of loose units. And San had units being able to warp in faster because he was closer to his Nexus. So a beautiful fight won by San. A great attempt from First, but it wasn't quite enough.
No, I mean, it's one of those things where you try to get the good position, but when you're playing such similar styles, everything so alike with the same exact armies, basically, you're a bit closer, there's better pylons to use for positioning and reinforcements, and And
a lot of the times in this position, when you're so similar, the player who lost the fight, being the aggressive player, says to himself, did I have to fight that? Did I need to take the issue? But he did. And now, as we can see, San is in a lead. San is commanding this. San has +3 attack on the way. He's got a bigger army, and he's looking at that semi-final finish.
Yeah, he's bringing this force over. You said it. Do I really need to bring that force over? Do I really need to go for that attack? And San says, well, regardless of when that happened, it's time to pay the Pied Piper. He's bringing his army up on this high ground. He's fighting an even ground, picks up the Templar. No more Archons to be morphed in. These Zealots, he does have quite a few of them first, but the Archons just obliterate those. San with a massive supply lead now, continuing to press forward, using that Phoenix advantage to stop any reinforcements, and he's being chased back to this third. Whole army destroyed. GG, San is going to advance to the semifinal.
And San just continues his absolutely awesome streak in StarCraft 2. He just doesn't seem to be able to lose. And another top 4 finish for him. He's already won a tournament this year. He's already been multiple times top 4, and another top 4 finish for him. Congratulations to San. And he will face Liquid Hero in our second semifinal.
Great series played out by San, and with a lot of Protoss left in his way, he's only got one more before that potential grand final. It's time to hear what San has to say about that PvP series. Well, let's find out.